Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us this morning for a data exchange webinar. The title of this morning's webinar is the Machine Monitoring Startup Guide for 2025. Now, this is going to be a little bit longer than our normal webinars. Usually our webinars run about 20 to 30 minutes long. We do them on a month-to-month basis for a given topic, but this one is going to be very broad. This is going to be for the people that we met out at EASTEC recently that are interested in smart factory technology, as well as some of the others that have been interested in the past about getting machine monitoring set up in their manufacturing facility. So this is going to be a very broad and basic entry level covering a bunch of different data exchange related topics, followed by a demonstration at the end. So the first thing I'd like to do is go over the order of events for this morning's webinar, starting off with what are you looking to achieve with machine monitoring, followed by how we get connected with data exchange to your shop floor equipment and pull a rich set of data from them that then populates our manufacturing charts and dashboards. After that, we will be discussing what are you looking to track and also what can be tracked inside of Scytec DataXchange, areas to define for use before beginning with data exchange, as well as the data exchange applications and their use, followed by the manufacturing charts and dashboards I'm going to be showing in the demonstration, a brief overview of the notification feature set in data exchange, and then we will end this webinar with a demonstration of data display, which is the browser-based reporting tool for data exchange. And I will cover some of the other data exchange resources where you can find out more about machine monitoring and how you can do some further outreach for any other questions that you guys might have. Now, anything that I cover in this webinar is something that we have another webinar or series of videos about as well that we go into more depth and detail on. This is meant to be very broad and for people that are just kind of starting out or are curious about smart factory technology. So what I'd like to go over first is what are you looking to achieve with machine monitoring? So what are you looking to achieve with machine monitoring? And for those of you that are unaware, Data Exchange collects data from your shop floor equipment that produces real-time and historic analytic reports based off your shop floor machine performance. Now, with Data Exchange, you can discover hidden bottlenecks hurting performance, as well as unknown wins in your shop floor processes that you might have been unaware of. You can reduce machine downtime. You can increase machine utilization and OEE. With Data Exchange, you can also get the most accurate digital twins possible via our integration with Vericut in a module that we call CNC Machine Connect. We have a couple of very interesting webinars on those as well, where we do demonstrations of CNC Machine Connect with Vericut specialists. And also with Data Exchange, you can also pull a lot more rich set of data that you can't get from ERP. Maybe ERP that you are currently using is just not reporting the necessary metrics that you need to improve your processes. And you can also win new contracts, have better quoting, and meet deadlines sooner with the transparency that is provided with Data Exchange machine monitoring. So on our website, we have case studies, which can be found at Scytec.com/Scytec Data Exchange case studies, where you can find a whole host of case studies in both written and video form that detail how some of our clients have achieved things like an increase in 15% utilization, or an increase in productivity, teamwork, and shop floor processes. We had another client that saw an increase immediately of OEE in 10 to 20%, and then that increased to 30% with further usage of data exchange. And they also increased their data-driven decision-making with data exchange. So I definitely advocate for you guys to go and check that out later and see what some of our clients have experienced with data exchange. Now, what can you track with Scytec Data Exchange machine monitoring? So right off the cuff, I would like to tell you that everything that is presented on our charts and dashboards with Data Exchange is meant to be meaningful for your shop floor. So what you're looking at over there on the right-hand side with that image is a screenshot of our real-time equipment view showing things that are necessary for improving your shop floor performance. And you can do this by tracking a whole bunch of different data points, such as machine downtimes, which we split into known and unknown, and planned and unplanned downtime, uptime and utilization, whether or not your machine is cutting or in cycle. You can also track good and scrap part counts, see real-time machine statuses like what you're looking at over there on the right-hand side. And you can discover patterns that eliminate production bottlenecks that you may not even be aware that existed. You can receive instant notifications for shop floor events and as thresholds that you determine have been crossed. You can track ideal setup times, M0 and M1 pause and stoppages, breaks, alarms, and also get the most accurate OEE information that incorporates planned setup times, as well as a host of other things that you can track inside of Scytec DataXchange. So, how does DataXchange receive information from your shop floor equipment? So, this is the first issue that we run into when we are trying to get things set up on your guys' shop floor is how do we get DataXchange talking to your machinery? Now, for those of you that have newer machines, the controls on them probably have an Ethernet port on them. Based off of whatever control type that you have, DataXchange via Ethernet wirelessly and wired can pull information off those via common protocols that are on the machine controls, such as Fanuc Focus, Akuma Think, and more. And if we can't connect via one of those protocols based off of your machine control brand, there's also industry standard protocols such as MT Connect and OPC UMADI as well for Europe that are open source that we are able to connect with and pull information from. So usually when we're going through a demonstration that is personalized for your shop floor, we ask for a machine list with the controls on them. And based off of what is on that list, we can show you a demonstration that, as I said, is personalized for your shop floor. And we talk about how we can connect to your equipment and pull information off of them. So let's say, for example, that you have an older legacy machine that has no Ethernet port on them. You're in luck because we can still have those kinds of machines privy to all of the benefits of machine monitoring with what we call our status relay controller. And you can see that down there in the bottom right. It's that thing with the little antenna next to it. The status relay controller is our cost-effective PLC device that can connect to older legacy equipments as well as fabrication machines. And we can also pull information off of sensors. So at the bottom, you can see things there like a current sensor, vibration sensor, proximity sensor, fill level sensor. Those are some sensors that you can wire into this device and then pull off information that you would need from them. And we can also pull information off of sensors like thermocouples, humidity sensors, data listeners, barcode scanners, relays, manual machines, and as I mentioned earlier, fabrication equipment. And we have a specific webinar on this as well, where we dive into how the SRC can help you guys, utilize all of the machines that are on your shop floor so that they are privy to the benefits of machine monitoring. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have the ability with DataXchange to connect to different machine brand protocols and pull a very rich set of data off of them. And this is one of the things that kind of separates Scytec DataXchange from some of the other more rudimentary machine monitoring platforms out there. And on our website, if you go to scytec.com/supported technology, at the very bottom of the page, you will see a list of all the different machine brands that are supported for direct protocol access, that when we connect to these machine protocols and pull information off of them, this goes way beyond is my machine running or not running. And on our website, you can see a breakdown in PDF form of all of the different data items that are collected off of a certain machine brand protocol and a description of them as well. So what we're looking at here is a list of data items that are collected off of the Fanuc 0, 30, and 31i series of controllers. And you can see things like we are able to retrieve information based off the active tool, alarm information, cycle status, part counts, part numbers, path feed rates, spindle overrides, macro variables, and spindle speeds, and more. So I definitely, advocate for you guys to go and look at our website and see some of the different data items that can be collected off of the machine brands that are probably more than likely out on your guys' shop floor. So next up, what I'd like to discuss is areas to define for data exchange use when you're getting started off with. So one of the things that you would want to decide on before starting off on your machine monitoring journey is what license level fits your needs. Now, unlike some of our competitors, we actually advocate for people that are new to machine monitoring to start off very simple on our bronze licensing level, which basically tells you if your machine is running or not running. And the reason why we actually advocate for this here at Scytec is that we want you guys to have machine monitoring correctly implemented into your daily routine so that it's not really looked at as like another chore. It's like another thing that you do starting off your day, before a Gemba walk or a production meeting, that you're utilizing data exchange. And then once you have it integrated into your daily routine, you can then move up to some of our other licensing levels like silver, gold, and platinum, which offer other trackable things like good and scrap parts, part numbers, alarm details, and then even supplemental applications that I will discuss later on. One of the other things you're going to need to define before starting out with data exchange is what deployment type fits your needs. So with data exchange, we have three main deployment types, starting off with number one, which is cloud. And I should also say that all of these are ITAR compliant. The cloud offering is our most common. It offers low overhead, low cost, is the easiest to get started for those of you that want to do a trial with data exchange first. No hardware is required for the cloud implementation. And then next up, we have our secure cloud offering, which is hosted on AWS GovCloud. Data is encrypted at all stages of rest and motion. And these are for manufacturers that have a little bit more stringent IT demands and things like that. And then finally, we have our on-premise solution, and that is where everything data-wise is stored on your own facility. You guys will have to build out your own web and SQL server. On-premise basically is for those IT departments that require an air gap so that nothing leaves your facility, nothing is stored in the cloud. Our on-premise solution is basically like outright buying data exchange as opposed to doing the month-to-month or the annual options that you can get with the cloud and secure cloud offerings. The only thing that we ask after your initial on-premise purchase is a yearly maintenance cost. So after you've done some of the initial setups and you're collecting information from your machines with data exchange, from there, you would want to define your users and user groups. And you can split up data exchange usage by employment levels, i.e. managers, supervisors, operators, machinists, and stuff like that. And you can also split things up into different plants where you can add and modify physical locations, different equipment. You can add or remove equipment from equipment groups, and also define your security permissions. So who has access to what inside data exchange, because maybe you guys will have different employment levels that you want to only have certain features being accessed. And I would also like to say that if you are a manufacturer with different plants and different locations, those different plants are all under the same account. We do not charge you for different plants at different geographic locations with data exchange. Next up, I'd like to discuss the equipment status definitions. And as I mentioned earlier, all of the data that is presented with Scytec Data Exchange is meant to be 100% indicative of your own environment. It is meant to be meaningful for your shop floor. So what you see over there on the right-hand side with that image is a section of one of our charts showing a Mazak, a Doosan, and an Akuma machine. And it is split up into a given period of time and the machine statuses that transpired for those different pieces of equipment during that time. So with that Mazak machine, you can see most of the week was spent in cutting, as well as a little bit in an alarm. And then with the Doosan machine, you can see over there on the right-hand column with all of those words stacked up on top of each other. Each of the corresponding color has a corresponding machine status. So that Doosan about half of the week was in a low override. And then the Akuma next to that, most of that week was spent in an unknown downtime. Now, off the cuff with DataXchange, we kind of have things categorized with our in-cycle and cutting statuses being in shades of green, and that also applies to high and low overrides as well as warm-ups. Planned downtimes are in shades of blue, and those could be something like a break or a machine setup. Unknown downtimes are in shades of orange. And then unplanned downtimes, such as things like maintenance or an alarm, those are custom. You guys can define those as well. Now, a lot of this that I've just discussed in terms of the users and the equipment status definitions, we have a desktop configuration application where the person on your guys' shop floor that is going to be doing the DataXchange implementation will be doing a lot of this setup in this desktop configuration application. And the professionals here at Scytec will definitely have probably a few training sessions with you when you're getting set up and ready to go. And then if you have any questions along the way, we do also have a support channel that you can reach out to for any questions that you may have getting set up and monitoring your machines. Now, one of the last things in this little section I'd like to talk about is the endless flexibility of DataXchange. And we do that with something that we call internally as an expression. And these expressions are what allows DataXchange to be endlessly flexible with our notification feature set. So the way that I like to describe this is, let's say, for example, that you have a machine that has been in an unknown downtime for 30 minutes. At that 30-minute mark, it will notify a operator or a group of operators or whoever else you define to go out there and figure out whatever is wrong with that machine. After an hour, you can then have that notification go out to a manager, and after 2 hours, a supervisor, and then at the end of the day, maybe even a CEO. So you get some escalation abilities with this flexibility via our DataXchange expressions. And there's plenty of canned expressions right from the get-go with DataXchange, but Scytec experts are here to help you set them up along the way. Next up, I'm going to go over the different DataXchange applications. So we have two main DataXchange applications. The first being data display, which you can see over there on the right side in that phone screenshot that you see there. And data display is our browser-based reporting tool, and this is going to be used by most of your shop floor. And I'm going to do a demonstration of this later on in this webinar. And then we also have our ODI, the operator data interface, which is available on our silver licensing level, which takes our DataXchange machine monitoring platform and then turns it into a communication one, as you can get operator feedback for specific unknown and unplanned downtimes, and as well as see machine statuses in real time. So with the ODI, there's going to be certain machine statuses that are not going to be automatically able to be collected from your machine themselves. This would be something like, your operator has to go take a bathroom break. So they can go into this application and then go and, click on an unplanned downtime and say that they're taking a break or something like that and put in a note. And this makes sure that you guys are receiving the most accurate OEE information possible with this ODI tablet. Next up, I'm going to be discussing our charts, dashboards, and reports. And I'm going to be showing you all of these here in the demonstration here later on. But what I want you to think about are charts inside of Scytec DataXchange as historical reporting. And we have a lot of different charts, but some of the more common ones are our timeline chart, the equipment status summary, downtime summary, as well as a few different Pareto charts. So what you're looking at here is a historical time frame that you guys have demanded as manufacturers for wanting information on all of the machines in your shop floor. The timeline chart you see there stacked above the other one is showing all of the given machine statuses in whatever time frame that you demanded. And then what you see next to that is the downtime Pareto chart, which I will be describing in just a little bit as well during our demonstration. Now we also have our dashboards. Now with our charts, as I said, those are historical. I want you to think about our dashboards as they are all real time. And also you can get a mixture of both historical and real time with our dashboards. But we have quite a few real-time dashboards, including the equipment view, the equipment list, as well as the equipment summation views. And then we have our real-time viewers, which can be endlessly configured to all sorts of different views and charts that you want. You can see that below there on the bottom middle with our RTV view that I'm going to be showing you later, showing you a grid with all of the alarms that have transpired, as well as alarm Paretos based off their types and occurrences. And then over there on the right-hand side, what looks to be like a bird's eye view of a kind of like schematic of a bunch of machines. That is what we call our shop floor layout. That gives you a bird's eye view, and you can use any kind of picture or drawing or whatever of your shop floor. Will show, and this will show you the real-time statuses of all of the machines, as I kind of said, from like a top-down perspective, as well as other machine data items that you would like to see, such as, you know, part counts, how long a machine status has transpired, and more. And then for those of you that are not as visual of learners, we also have a reporting feature that can be found in our browser-based reporting tool, Data Display. And you can get everything that you would get via a chart or a dashboard in a more numerical PDF format via our reporting features. And charts and reports can be emailed to you and different employment groups based off of who you define on a recurring basis with our saved and scheduled chart features inside of Data Display. So that way, you know, you could go to a production meeting or a gimbal walk every morning with a downtime summary chart for the previous day, where you could look at the metrics that were pulled from your shop floor equipment and go into that production meeting well prepared and informed about what has transpired over, you know, the given last time frame that you're having a meeting about. Next up, I'm going to be discussing the notification feature set inside of Scytec DataXchange. Now, we have three main notifications that you can be notified via your machine statuses, or when a certain threshold is crossed, or when a job has finished completion. And we have Microsoft Teams, text, and email. So let's say, for example, that as I used earlier, you have a machine that has been at an unknown downtime for 30 minutes. You will get a notification via Microsoft Teams, text, or email, alerting you or whoever else you define to go out and then see what is going on with that machine, find out why it's been in that unknown downtime. We also have the ability to send notifications in other different ways. As I mentioned, we have our ODI tablet, that little blinking GIF that you see there on the left-hand corner. That can alert a operator that is working inside of a cell with an ODI tablet that Doosan machine and that DMG machine have been in unknown downtimes for quite a while, and to go out there and find out whatever is wrong with their machines. So one way or another, we have the ability to make sure that everybody in your facility is notified when certain shop floor events of your defining, once that threshold has been crossed, that you can get a notification sent to you in a very convenient way. Next up, I'm going to be discussing our Vericut integration. And as I said earlier, we have two different webinars on this with CG Tech specialists. This integration has now been out for about 3 years now. We have 3 different modules for the overall module, which we call CNC Machine Connect. And they are broken down into the pre-check, CNC machine monitoring, and post-check features inside of CNC Machine Connect in Vericut. We have individual videos on this as well, going over the features that are provided with this. But basically, Vericut takes the real-time information that is coming off of Scytec DataXchange and uses that to give manufacturers the most accurate digital twins possible through this industry-defining integration with Vericut. So if you guys are, working inside of aerospace and you guys more than likely already have Vericut, please check out some of these other webinars and inquire with us about how you can do a demonstration of this. For those of you that were out at EASTEC, Vericut was right across the aisle from us, so maybe you got to see a demonstration of CNC machine connectivity while you were out there. And then finally, I'd like to discuss DXIQ. And DXIQ is going to be one of the newer features that is coming in the pipeline. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the ability to directly access very well-known machine brand protocols. And with this direct protocol access, DXIQ gives manufacturers a lot more data at a faster rate with additional dashboards and more analytics, and giving manufacturers a greater level of detail. This in turn down the line will be used for more predictive maintenance, part run prediction, and other things like that. So that is where some of the more exciting features for DataXchange are coming down the pipeline. Now, from here, I'm going to do a data display kind of walkthrough of some of the most useful charts and dashboards that we advocate here at Scytec for people to start out with. So I'm going to go over and go to first our data display launch pad. And this can be found at dx.scytec.com once you get signed up and everything connected with your machines. And we walk you through a few different training sessions to make sure that things are going smooth and that everything is reporting information as needed. So here at this dx.com landing page, you can find the data display access portal as well as the configuration application installation, as well as links to download the mobile applications for data display, as well as the operator data interface supplemental application. And we also do have a Windows Store application for the ODI that you can find on the Windows Store for desktop ODI usage. So if you go over here and click on data display, you will then be brought here to the data display launchpad. And the data display launchpad is going to have all of the different charts and reports and dashboards, as well as those of you that are have been using DataXchange for a while. Your previously created RTV charts are going to be down here at the bottom. And in an upcoming update for DataXchange, we are going to have the designer that was previously found in the desktop configuration application for your RTV charts now in data display. So the first thing that I'm going to show you here on the data display launchpad is going to be our timeline chart. Now, the timeline chart shows the incremental statuses of the selected equipment over a time range selected. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to show you all the different filtering options that you have for the data display mobile reporting application. So let's say I want to find out a historical representation of all the machine statuses for the last given week. So what I can do here is I can select the last 5 days. You can select different shifts and shift groups, or you can also, do it manually by having a start and stop time, as well as, choosing your required time zone. So what I like to do here is I want to see a bunch of equipment from our Fort Collins plant. And what I'm going to be showing you here is simulated data from a Fort Collins plant that has a FANUC machine, a Siemens 840D, a Makino Mazak, as one of those little PLC devices that I talked about earlier that is pulling information off of a older legacy machine. And we have a few other machines in there as well. And then down at the bottom, you can see more filtering options for when you can go and see different either general or specific machine statuses. I always like seeing the specific ones because they give you more detail. And the same thing with the planned and unplanned downtimes. You can also see different filtering options down here for equipment statuses as well. So once you go and do all this filtering, and I'll show you the chart here in a second, you have a bunch of other options in terms of UI presentation. So that you can skip all this filtering, you can also have the ability to save this chart where it can then populate back out in the data display launchpad that I showed you earlier. So you don't have to keep doing this filtering every day. So once we've done all the filtering for all the machines and times that and shifts that we are looking for, we can go up here to this bar that says chart once you hover over it. And when we click on it, this will then show us our timeline chart. And it'll show us over here on the left-hand side the given date range that we are looking for. So we are looking for 5 days worth of machine statuses that we can see over here represented by their corresponding color. So this color that you see here, that is an unknown downtime and the amount of time that it has been there. So it's been in an unknown downtime for about 6 hours for this little section that we are hovering over here, as well as all the other different machine statuses that have happened during this given period of time, including M0, waiting for an operator, cutting, which is what we call normal cycle, alarms, high overrides, low overrides, and tooling. So let's say we want to get a better view of a specific period of time that we are looking for. So we, have our entire week that we see here, but let's say we wanted to drill in a little bit further and see a specific day. You can select an area of time, and then you can zoom in there as well too. So I'm going to go back out to our launch pad, and I'm going to show you our next chart, which is going to be our summary chart. And the summary chart basically shows the exact same information as what we just showed before, but it's just presented a little differently. And the summary chart displays the percentage of each machine's status in the time frame selected. So once again, we can go through and do all of the different filterings. I want to have the same 5-day period, the same amount of machines from our Fort Collins plant, showing us the same specific cycle statuses and planned and unplanned downtimes. You can also do some filterings for part and work orders in here as well. And we can save it the same way as we saved our last chart. So I'm going to click on this and show this here. And this is how much of each machine status took up this period that you filtered out for in a given time frame. So for this FANUC machine, we can see that in this last 5-day period, this FANUC machine was cutting for 67 hours and 14 minutes, and that it basically accounts for about 56% of the total available time for that machine. We can also see that it was waiting for an operator for 32 hours, which takes up 27% of the available time in this week, and so on and so forth with the other machines here. For the Siemens machine, we were in a high override for 15 hours of this last week, and that shows that for this machine in this last week, that the high override made up 13% of the total available time. Next up, I'd like to discuss the downtime Pareto. And as you can see, we have a ton of other different charts here. I'm going to be going over just a smattering of the different charts, reports, and dashboards, etc. as well. So next up, I'm going to be discussing the downtime Pareto chart. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with the Pareto principle, it is also known as the 80-20 rule. It actually comes historically from an Italian bean farmer that was one day out in his garden and noticed that 20% of his crops were affecting basically another 80% of them. And the Pareto principle basically states that 80% of the effects comes from 20% of the causes. So if we go ahead and we do all the same filtering as before, what this chart is going to show us, moving from left to right, is what are the biggest issues that are currently affecting your guys' shop floor. So what we can see here going from left to right is that if we eliminate all of the waiting for operators, all of the tooling issues, all of the alarm issues, that this should really clear up a lot of the issues that we are experiencing out on our shop floor. So, as I mentioned earlier with the filtering options, that when you save a chart, it will populate down here in the Save Chart section. So for one of the ones that I was showing earlier, which was the equipment status summary, we have this for a day shift. When we go here and we click on this, filtering again, we also have the ability to schedule this chart. And this schedule chart option that you can see down here is you can have this sent to different users, different user groups at different times so that it goes to their email inboxes. So as I said earlier, that when you're planning for a gimbal walk or a production meeting, one of these scheduled charts can be sent to you on a recurring basis so that you go into one of those meetings prepared and ready to go. Next up, I'm going to discuss one of our real-time equipment dashboards, which we call here the equipment view. Now, same as before, there's quite a bit of filtering options. I want to see the machines from my Fort Collins plant again. Now, one thing I want to say that really separates this from the other charts is that, once again, that this is real-time as opposed to historical. This will show you what is currently going on. And we have a lot of flexibility with this, with our current value selections that you can get here. And there is a whole host of things that you can have presented in your real-time dashboard. I'm just going to show you here in just a second. But to make this very easy, I'm just going to select a few showing specific equipment status, when they started, date and time, and their duration. But you can get all sorts of things like good and scrap part counts, the logged in user, whether or not you're connected to the DataXchange system, notes, the previous downtime for the machines, a parts per hour plan, material status, temperature, scrap notes, alarm counts, stop counts, drill amperage, all sorts of things, feed rate overrides, room temperature. There's a whole host of things that you can have in this real-time dashboard that I'm going to show you as well. So what we are looking at and how we advocate for this to be shown on your guys' shop floor is, I want you to imagine like a TV out on a tripod or hanging from a ceiling, mounted to the wall in the break room or something like that, so that you guys can see all of the real-time machine statuses going on currently and where things are at with your production metrics. So once again, we have our Fanuc machine, our Siemens machine, our Makino, Mazak, and a Star machine showing us basically what the machine is currently doing. So right now, this Fanuc machine is currently cycling. It is cutting. It started this at 10:32 a.m. and has specifically been doing this for about 6 minutes. The Siemens machine that you just watched go over for an unknown downtime and then back, that just started its normal cycle again. Next to that, we have our Makino, which is showing a specific cutting duration of about a little bit over an hour. So this is meant to be something that is seen from a TV, so that all eyes on the shop floor can see this, and this can also be accessed on the fly with the data display browser-based reporting tool via a phone, tablet, or computer. Now, underneath, you can see these little gauges here. Now, what these are, this is the utilization gauge, and this little blue triangle that you see right here is we wanted to set our machine utilization for 75%. So if you're familiar with OEE, with availability and all that kind of stuff, we wanted to make sure that our machine was cutting for 75% of the available time. And as of right now, it's really only been about 35. So we need to kind of update or increase that machine utilization, and then so on and so forth with the other machines. We have for the Siemens machine, we have the utilization set to that for about 80%. It is about at 25%. Same thing with the Makino. This is the one that we actually have met our utilization needs by. We set this at 75%, and the machine utilization is at 80%. So I'm going to go back out here to our data display launchpad, and I'm going to show you some of the real-time viewer RTV views that are very common that we like starting people off with. The first one that I'm going to do is click on this alarms, but I want you to pay attention to the numbers in each one of these little different boxes that you see here. So with the RTV, these are endlessly configurable. You can have unlimited of them, and you can have different views inside of each one. So if we see the number 3 here for this alarms, this is going to show us 3 different views for our overall RTV alarm chart and dashboard that you see. With our alarms, we have an alarm grid with all of the different machines that you see, the alarm type, their alarm code, a description of that alarm, how long that alarm has been going on, the quantity of the alarms, and some other interesting data points that you can pull as well here. And then underneath that, we have 2 other separate views for alarm Paretos by time and then also by occurrence. So the next one I'm going to show you here is our shop floor view. And if you see that one above it, you can see that we're only going to have one specific view in there. And this is what I said earlier when going through all these in the slideshow, that we have a bird's eye view of what looks to be a schematic of a top-down view blueprint of all the machines that would be out on your shop floor. So we have an Akuma machine, a Doosan, a Star, a Mori, a Makino, and a Harding machines. And this can show you everything that the real-time equipment viewer that I just showed you a minute ago, with all of the different current values that you can have populate underneath it. So this Akuma machine has been in a low override for 18 minutes. We are also tracking the amount of good part counts that has been produced by this machine. So currently it has not made a good part yet. Next to that, we have a Doosan machine that has been in an unknown downtime for 24 minutes. And then below that, you can see some of the others, including a Makino machine that has been cutting for a little bit over an hour, as well as a Mori machine that has been in an unknown downtime for 30 minutes. Now, with this shop floor layout, you can use any drawing, any picture, or anything like that. And we have a little designer inside of here where you can basically trace over the outline of each of the machines. And then that once a machine is collecting data, it will see the corresponding color to whatever the machine status that is currently being reported, indicated on this shop floor layout. Now, one of the other things I'd like to talk about here with the RTV is the ability to rotate all of these individual views in each of the charts or dashboards that they have inside of them. So if you would go over here, imagine this being on a TV, that you would hit play. You can determine that these things can kind of be like your own little production chyron, where they're kind of just, rotating in and out at given intervals for every 10, 15, 30 seconds, minute, whatever you would like it to be. And as I said, we do advocate for these to be on a TV or something like that, so that you can rotate in between these and see all of the different interesting shop floor production metrics that are transpiring out on your shop floor. So finally, what I'd like to go over here is our reports. And as I said, these are for more of the, numerically driven people. Reports are actually something that has just made it into data display as of our latest DataXchange update. You can find out more about that on our YouTube channel. We have a series of videos that break down all of the different major UI improvements for the last DataXchange update. Well, let's say I want to get a downtime summary. Once again, you do all the same filtering as before, where you check the boxes up here for the time frame you're looking to get information on, the machines, as well as some of the other filtering. So I just want to know some of the general statuses that have transpired during this last week. We can go up here and access this report. This will load, and this will basically give us a downtime summary from our start and stop times, and show us the total amount of downtimes, both unknown and unplanned, for this 5-day period, and what that accumulates for in terms of percentage total, as well as their occurrences. So for this unplanned downtime, we had 190 occurrences of unplanned downtime in a given week. And for this unknown downtime in this 5-day period, we had close to 2,600. But that is going to be about it for this morning's webinar. As I said, this goes a little bit, this one was going to be a little bit longer than normal. We keep these at a usual 25 to 30-minute mark. But what I wanted to do is go back here to my PowerPoint and talk about some of the other additional resources that you can find with Scytec DataXchange. So definitely go and check out our Scytec.com website for more information off of this. And if you guys would like a personalized demonstration that'll be indicative of your equipment that you have, please use this schedule a demo button that you see here right on our main landing page. But you can also find out about all the other different things that I discuss in this very broad webinar on our website as well. And as I said, yeah, we have the schedule a demo button all over our website. We will definitely walk you through a lot of more of the in-depth and more intricate things with Scytec specialists about how you can very seamlessly get up and collecting information and populating charts and dashboards with that collected information. We have clients that get set up and running in sometimes close to a half hour with Scytec DataXchange. So if you're kind of, timid about getting, your feet wet with machine monitoring and smart factory technology, do not worry. We are here at Scytec to help you guys out with that. We also have as a external learning source our Scytec University, and definitely come to this if you guys are, new users. If you go up here to this little search bar, type in anything that you are looking to get more information about, and that'll populate with different videos, articles, FAQ sections, as well as we have things broken down on our Scytec University site based off of different roles that you guys may have. So like, how an operator can use this, how a IT person, how management can use Scytec DataXchange correctly, as well as different scenarios that DataXchange can be utilized correctly for. And we also have our YouTube channel where we have things split up into different playlists for DataXchange updates. So when we do an update, I myself email everybody. We have a blog about what goes into the update. And then you can also find things in video format showing you what transpired with the latest DataXchange release. We also have things broken up into DataXchange features. So when I'm going over, things like the real-time equipment view, you can find a specific video about that as well on our YouTube channel, as well as client case studies, and then also all of our webinars that we have on more focused topics. So that about kind of wraps it up here for our webinar this morning. We have some upcoming webinars. As I said, we do this on a month-to-month basis. Next up, at the end of June, we always do these at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard or Mountain Daylight Time, depending on what season it is. But these are always at the end of the month, the last Thursday. And at the end of June, we are going to be having a webinar about getting the most out of your shop floor dashboards. This is also going to kind of coincide with the DataXchange release, where we are going to have the RTV Designer that historically was found in the desktop configuration application, now being available in the Data Display, mobile, and browser-based reporting tool. Followed in July, we have a webinar concerning machines that you didn't know that you can monitor. This is going to be based off of the SRC, the cost-effective PLC device that I talked about earlier, where we are going to be discussing how you could utilize the SRC to pull information off of machines that are legacy, fabrication, sensor-based, that kind of stuff. And then finally, we will be closing August out with the high cost of common manufacturing issues, where I'm going to be going over some of the other, trackable items with DataXchange and how you can solve those common shop floor issues with DataXchange. So that about wraps it up for this morning's webinar. I want to thank you all for joining us here. This one was a little bit longer than usual.